All right, let's cut the chatter. Let's get to it. We got a long show tonight. We're about to get into the nitty gritty of the college football playoffs that just happened. And boy, did I have a long day yesterday. It was real fun though, keeping up with y'all too in the comments as well. Y'all had a lot of good points. I responded to you if you know who you are, so go check that out. Anyways, as you can see, the new word on the hat, revenge. Oregon, it's time to go, baby. We got revenge on Indiana, and you got Miami and Olemiss playing each other, and we'll get more into those. But let's do a recap on what we had yesterday. So I want to start with the Ole Miss Georgia game because I had some strong thoughts on this game. But before we get to the game being played, let's get to the effects of this game. Lane Kiffin is still getting paid. Now, I don't know how that makes you feel, but as far as me, I'm not feeling too happy about that to be honest with you. Like I understand that was a deal he struck with LSU, and look, LSU has to pay that money. I think it's like 100 grand every time they win a playoff game. But I don't know. I just got a bad feeling. Like, dude, you left your team. You left your team. Now, granted, it was a once in a lifetime type of a deal, and he had to go take it. But it's like, did you have to put that in your contract? I mean, I guess since they were pulling you from the team early, but it's like, dog, I don't know. I just don't like him getting paid for somebody else's work. I feel like Pete Golden should be getting a raise or a bonus for every playoff game they win. Maybe he is, and we just don't know. But I don't know. That was just my initial thoughts that I didn't like about that. All right, now let's get into the stats of that game. All right, so Ole Miss, Georgia. You got Trinidad really playing a great game. Both quarterbacks played a great game. Trinidad had 362 passing yards. Come on, Georgia. 362 passing yards. That's a lot of yards, bro. That's a lot of yards. His QBR was 90.6, and he had a touchdown to interception ratio of 2-0. 2-0. He made so many scramble plays that kept him alive at the end of the game. I mean, really, he was making crazy plays throughout the game, but the the amount of times that this man escaped pressure, even when he had to go back 15, 20 yards and then launch a ball down the field to get a miraculous first down that nobody thought they were going to get, he made those plays and he made it happen. Um, I mean, all kudos to him. This kid was playing in the G5 last year. Was it G5 or the FCS? It might have been the FCS. My mind is I kind of forgot, so forgive me. But anyways, he was playing on such a lower tier than what he is now, and then to come out and star like this, man, I give him all the props in the mighty SEC. But nevertheless, um, now I'm not saying the SEC is bad. They're clearly, I think, the SEC and the Big Ten are neck and neck. So I don't, I'm not putting one above the other. I'm just saying the kid came out of nowhere and is balling against all pro teams and all pro players. Gunnar Stockton, on the other hand, he had a good game as well. I mean, I feel like his game is different in the sense that he's not he he'll make plays to win you the game, but he's not going to be a consistent quarterback throughout the game as far as dominating from the quarterback play. Like he'll make a running play that you didn't expect him to get away from. Man, that kid had he had one bailout. He bailed out to the left side or rolled out to the left side, and he acted like he was about to run the ball, and then jumped in the air and threw it at the last second while he's getting hit. I'm talking about blown up. and the ball went right to the dude's hands on the money. It was a big part. It was a big play in the game, which at that time we were all thinking like, bro, Georgia might be on the move to take over this game and win it. His stats, let's see, QBR 75.2. He had 203 passing yards and one touchdown. Again, now I can't remember if what the snap count was as far as offense versus offensive plays. Um, but it felt like Georgia didn't run nearly as many plays as Ole Miss in this game. Um, Actually, I think that is a fact. They didn't run as many plays, but Georgia was more impactful with their drives early on than Ole Miss was. And like I said, shout out to Ole Miss for coming back like they did. As far as the rushing yards go, I mean it's pretty similar. Ole Miss had 111 rushing yards at 4.1 per carry, and Georgia 124 rushing yards at 3.4 yards per carry. So uh, I look at those; they're pretty similar. Both teams had pretty much good success on at the run. They weren't completely dominating. They just had successful runs in timely manner. Um, as far as the outlook on this game, I feel like Georgia's offense is boom or bust this year. I feel like it's been that the way the whole year. Either you're going to look super dominant and go down the field and score, whether that's through the run game or a crazy pass from Gunnar Stockton, like he's had all year long. He's had crazy plays at crazy moments. I remember he put one on the dime over the back shoulder like this in the back of the end zone a couple of times. And then other times they're going three and out or they're running, which really kind of pissed me off to be honest with you because it's like I wouldn't expect this level of I don't know what word to use for it, but when they ran out their punt team, no, they ran out their offense, called a timeout, ran out their punt team, then tried to hurry up and run out their offense again, and then they end up not getting it at all. Like that from Kirby Smart kind of rubbed me the wrong way. I didn't expect to see that from him. Um, I was like, I was just there. It is. It's just a little too gimmicky for me. Um, like Dan Lennon hasn't even done that his tenure at Oregon. So like as far as the Oregon gimmick stuff that we do, I didn't expect to see that from Georgia, and they did it, and it was kind of weird. Um, Other than that, you saw, I mean, Kirby was willing to try anything, and that's kind of where Dang gets it from. He had the fake punt, the revert. It was a reverse, and then a pass, which I don't understand how Ole Miss didn't know that was coming. So they Georgia was lined up in a full punt formation, and then they shift to a different formation while sorta is still in the punt formation, and Ole Miss kind of just stood there and was like, "Well, what's going on?" Then they let the play develop right in front of their face. It was like, bro, come on, man. Y'all saw it coming. But shout out to Georgia for getting that. Um, I will say, shout out to Ole Miss's D line. They were getting their butts kicked for a good little portion in this game, right in the middle. And then out of nowhere, it just snapped. Hey, we're not going to let them rush the ball no more. And they really started to hammer down on Georgia's running game. I mean, it was for a good like maybe 3 or 4 possessions in a row, to where Ole Miss's D line really stepped up for them. So shout out to them for that. I'd say the major difference in this game was Ole Miss's wide receivers. The ability to go off at any point in time, the way that Ole Miss can do it, makes them one of the most dangerous teams left. Obviously, there are no bad teams left, but my point is, okay, you had Wallace. Harrison Wallace had 9 catches for 156 yards. Stribling 7 catches for 122 yards in this game. That's two receivers that went off without overtime for over 100 yards apiece. 17 yards per catch each. That is insanely good for two college wide receivers to go off at the same time like that. The last time you see dominance like that in a game versus a SEC team was the LSU Joe Burrow with Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson. I haven't seen dominance like that since then, as far as being able to just throw the ball up and watch them go make a spectacular play. Uh, Shoot, Wallace, for example, he had two back shoulders and a third one for a touchdown. I'm talking about, and then the big play on Ole Miss's drive where they kicked that field goal at the end. Stribling just dominated that corner. He did one quick move and got up and around him and was gone. And he caught that big catch over the middle. So shout out to them. Shout out to Ole Miss's receivers. It's gonna be really, 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 really fun to watch um, Trinidad try to run around and get away from the Miami defensive line. That is going to be, I believe, the difference in this game. Um, Next, Georgia's really Georgia kind of seemed like, as far as the whole uh first round, the first bye teams go, Georgia looked like the very beginning of this game, they didn't look like they were too much together. They were pretty struggling, just like every other team did in the first quarter that had a bye. Um, so and their first real touchdown came off that scoop and score that Kawan Lacey fumbled on. That was their real first touchdown, and then from then Georgia built momentum and got themselves together. A big stat in this game: Georgia had 0 sacks. They got to Trinidad maybe like 5, 6 times in this game, to where we thought that they were going to pretty much get a sack or get a tackle for loss something, and they couldn't get there. This has been Georgia's story all year long. Everybody got fooled by who? Alabama. Everybody got fooled by Alabama. I said it from the beginning. Alabama was a fraud. It was what it was. Alabama is the team that cannot run the ball and cannot stop the run. Their offensive line looks horrible. I mean, we'll get into that with the whole next thing, but that's what made Georgia look so much better than what they were. And going into the game, I'm not saying Georgia was bad. Oh no, I'm not. Georgia's a great team. They proved it. It was a dogfight. Now, granted, their defense isn't what it was. Is my point. And for them to not have a defensive line that can get any type of pressure, or not just pressure, but accumulate tackles for loss and sacks, that's a problem for them. That's really what stopped them in this game. 0 sacks on Trinidad, which they've had the opportunity to get sacks on, and they just couldn't do it. Um, let's go to the refs. Oh my god. Oh my god. The refs are probably the worst. That was probably the worst showing I've ever seen out of some refs in my life. Now, other than, I will say, the the USC game, USC Oregon game, that was probably the second worst. If y'all haven't seen that full game, like as far as the refs go, oh my god, just go look up the penalties and yardage, and I mean, it was crazy. But this right here, you get the clear and obvious. Everybody saw it. There's no way that ref did not see that. Two refs had their eyes locked onto it and said they didn't see nothing. But the obvious face mask, where the dude literally gets his face turned all the way around, then has to adjust his face mask, and no call. I'm talking about, it was insane. So you had that. Then the next play is a tip ball that goes down, and they end up punting the ball back to Georgia. Georgia gets it. There was a pass interference call, which I felt like could have gone either way. I felt like the kid, if you turn your body around and you look at the ball, I don't feel like that should be a penalty. But if that is by the letter of the law, then it's a penalty. I'm not trying to take nothing from it. I just felt like he got his head turned around and his whole body was facing the ball when they threw the flag. That's my only thing. I was kind of curious about that. But I feel like it could have gone either way, because if that's considered impeding the receiver from getting to the ball, then it is what it is. Then the next one was a holding, and I could see where he had his hands on him, but I didn't see a jersey pull. That's what I was looking for that. That's what I was looking for. A jersey pull. Usually you see that, and that's what gives the rest the reason to call some type of pulling of the jersey. I just saw him put his hands on him. I didn't really see him pull anything. So it was those two back-to-back penalties in a row. Somewhere in between that, Georgia had a holding call on them. Um, and then you get to the end of the game. So Georgia ends up scoring, and then Ole Miss goes down and kicks the field goal. And it turns out there's what 6 seconds, 9 seconds, something like that on left on the clock. So Ole Miss kicks it off. Georgia catches it. They're trying to run a. I know what type of play they were trying to run. It's where they catch it on one side and throw it to the other, and then that person runs it back for the touchdown. Well, it turns out he caught it on one side and looked over and tried to throw it to the other side, but he either overthrew him or because I didn't see nobody there, he threw it and somebody missed their opportunity to be in the right spot, and he it ended up bouncing, which I thought that it went out of bounds, me personally, but it did hit the pylon, so they called it a safety, and I agree. There was 1 second left on the clock. Then after the safety gets called and they say there's 1 second left on the clock, Ole Miss rushes out on the field. So then they're telling Ole Miss, go back, go back, go back. The game's not over. Now they're saying they got to kick it off. So Ole Miss kicks it off. Or no, not Ole Miss. Georgia kicks it off because it's a safety as an onside kick. And then Georgia recovers and Ole Miss storms the field again. And the second goes off the clock. The 1 second that was left goes off the clock, which is confusing, right? So when that second comes off the clock, Ole Miss is out there storming the field again. Then the refs, it's not over, it's not over. By the letter of the law, it's not over. So what does Ole Miss do? They get pushed off. At this point, Golden already got Gatorade all over his back. He's pissed off. Trinidad's like, what the fuck are we doing? So they're sending him over there and they're sending Georgia's side back. And then you got the hook and ladder play. Georgia's throwing it back and forth, back and forth. At some point, there was a forward pass. The flag comes out during it. So they're still flowing. This sucker lasts at least 3, 4 minutes. And then they finally get tackled. And somehow the flag disappeared. Now, I agree. I agree that the flag should have disappeared. But it's like, what the hell was going on at the end of this game? I just thought that was the weirdest ending to a game that you could imagine. So, with that being said, congratulations to Ole Miss. I forgot to bring up Zachariah Branch and the kicker Lucas from Ole Miss. So Zachariah Branch, I'm really curious of what he's going to do. I think he has one more year eligibility left. I think if he doesn't, he's going to the NFL. But I'm real curious if he does. What's he going to do? Will he decide to come back or will he decide to go to NFL? And then Lucas from Ole Miss, that kid is he earned himself some money in the NFL with that leg, bruh. That kid was bombing 50 yarders like it was nothing. Like it was nothing. All right, let's move on to the next game. So we've got Indiana Bama. Now this was a hell of a game, wasn't it? Maybe not. So let's get down to the stats because this one's not going to take me too much time. As far as Fernando goes, 192, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, QBR 96.7. The combination of Mac and oh yeah, the combination of Mac and the guy that got injured. No, I'm just messing with you, Ty Simpson. All right, so Mac had 103 yards with a 70 QBR, no touchdowns, no interceptions. Boy, I just don't. I don't understand. Ty Simpson had 67 yards with a 60 QBR and no touchdowns, no interceptions. The odd thing was when because I didn't realize it during the game, but after the game, granted, yeah, you could say the game was over, but he got injured in the second quarter, wasn't it? and or was it the second or early third? I can't remember. But the odd thing was about this game, those two had the same exact amount of pass attempts. Odd, right? Right? But who looked better? It's a real question, huh? Real question. Rushing yards, Indiana 215, 4.3 per carry. And granted, none of these are sack adjusted, so it could be more or less. Bama 23 rushing yards on 1.4 carry. These are the most pedestrian numbers I've ever seen from Bama. You remember when they had -3 rushing yards? Yeah, they did that. I mean, bro, this is not Bama. I'm sorry. This is when I said it earlier when I put that title in there from yesterday. This is the end of Bama. This is what I meant. This is truly the end of Bama. I don't think that you can look at this and say, "Hey, Bama's gonna be good going the rest of the way." No, no, they need to. They have no other choice. Number one, their line of scrimmage is horrendous at this point. There's no run game. There's no dominance in the trenches. There's no big bodies. I'm lying. There's big bodies, but there's no big bodies. I'm talking about physically pushing people around. You don't see it. You don't see it no more. Um, they need a. They're gonna need. People are saying it. Ryan Grubb's got to go. They're gonna need a new O line coach and a new offensive coordinator. And I'd give it until next year when they start talking about the head coaching situation. Because I say it again, if Bama lost that game to Oklahoma, is DeBoer still the coach? I'm truly curious. Is he the coach? Because everything about that was made to be, hey, you know, he's our first choice. We would love for him to be there. This is what he said he would want to do. Well, I mean, are you looking at this as if Kalen DeBoer made the right decision? I know he loves it, and the players came out there in support of him. I'm just curious. I've been checking the temperature with the other Alabama fans, and they're just talking about how bad they got whooped. And one person said that they went from boot camp to training camp. It's what it felt like, and it's such a step down in their abilities and everything. So I'm just curious, what y'all thoughts on Bama? How do y'all think that they have moved forward in this process? As far as Indiana go, I mean, I got their little name Indy by committee because that's what they do, bruh. At this point, it's Indiana by committee, bruh. I mean, they win games the way they need to win games, and they do what they got to do to get up out of there and keep moving on. Um, I feel like me personally, I feel like Kirk Cinetti probably has them boys watching film in black and white and removing the logos of the other team because they are so focused. They are probably one of the most focused teams I've ever seen as far as togetherness and everything. I feel like Oregon is somewhat the same way, but the difference is, and I'll get to this in the next one, but uh, they're just an older team. Indiana's such an older team, tons of seniors, tons of experience. Uh, all kudos to them. Seriously, all kudos to them. It's a tremendous run. We may never see a run like this ever, as far as the situation. Uh, they win 3 games one year, and then the next year they won 11 or 12, and then now they're 14-0. Crazy, bro. Crazy. Um, let's move on to the big one. Oregon, Texas Tech. This was a game of defense And mistakes. Tons and tons of mistakes, left points out on the field. I mean, things that should not have gone wrong that went wrong. Really left me at a. I was pretty disappointed, but it was what it was. Let's get to the yards. Dante Moore, which I was confused. A lot of people are down on Dante Moore or say he really didn't have that good of a game. And yeah, I feel like a few mistakes were made, but I didn't feel like Dante Moore had a bad game whatsoever. I felt like the play calling, if anything, really was skeptical. And we'll get into that, like I said. So Dante Moore, 234, 62 QBR, no touchdowns, one interception. Bear Morton, 137, 18 QBR, no touchdowns, two interceptions. Rushing yards, Oregon, 64, 1.4 carry, and Texas Tech, 78, 2.6 a carry. I when I say this is the best defensive performance I've ever seen Oregon put on in my life, I mean every bit of it. I'm talking about as far as the stakes and the ability to take care of business was such a great display. The last time I felt this good about a defensive uh about our defense and how we played was the Florida State game in 2015 when the defense stepped up. Like, no, they didn't shut them out, but they stepped up in a way that I did not expect them to step up against Florida State, who was a team that hadn't lost a game in 2 years. And this Texas Tech team, all intents and purposes, they had the second most explosive offense in the entire country, only second to Oregon. Um, Averaging, what was it, 42 points per game, beating teams by 23 plus. I mean, they were so explosive on offense. And you watch this game and it's like, bro, they couldn't even get 5 yards of play. They couldn't get 3 yards of play. I think it was down to like 2 point something yards per play or something like that. It was so pedestrian. Um, but dang, did Oregon's defense step up? Brandon Finney Jr., best cornerback in the nation. Meh, I guess he might not be the best cornerback in the nation, but he's definitely the best freshman cornerback in the nation, and probably the best. Uh, he's up there with the best freshman in the nation. Easy, it's not even a question. That kid is a star. I've been saying it all year. Ask Mendoza how many pick sixes he has this year. Oh, one. Guess to who? Brandon Finney Jr. Yes, this kid is phenomenal. He is phenomenal. And he's built. I think he's 6'4". As a freshman, this kid is built. He's got speed and he's smart and he works. He's in there 24/7. Um but yeah, shout out to the defense in this game. He was flying around. Tatum was flying around. Um Mateo was flying around. These Tatum had 2 sacks. Mateo had a strip sack. Um, yeah, it was a phenomenal defensive effort. And then you go to Texas Tech side, and oh my God, their defense was flying around. Now, I do believe their weak part in their defense was their pass defense. And I was super confused why Oregon didn't attack that more because every time they went into that middle range between 15 and 20 yards, it was a catch every single time. And people were wide open every single time. And I was a little confused by that. But as far as their run defense, they have the best run defense in the nation. They do. I think overall they're probably top three. Yeah, I could top two, top three defensives. I still think Oklahoma has the number one defense in all the nation. That's just my personal opinion. So you can keep that where you want to keep that. But I think Oklahoma had the number one defense. And I feel like Texas Tech and Oklahoma probably were the same exact team this year. I think that would have been a really good game. Texas Tech, Oklahoma. Oh boy, that would have been a hell of a game. But yeah, I feel like they were the same team this year. I yeah, yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me now that I'm thinking about it. They're probably the same exact team. But yeah, Texas Tech's defense was everything it was hyped up to be. They were getting tackles for losses. I mean, it was a true team effort. What's that kid's name? Bailey. Oh my gosh. Now, I will give our tackles some credit because after this first quarter, I don't think Bailey had another pressure for the rest of the game. Now, and that was a tribute to whether it was the scheme, the blocking schemes that they end up going to, or the changes that Texas Tech might have made on their own. Because I know they started dropping him into coverage, which was kind of odd to me because he was such a game record. Like people like that, you just can't drop into coverage. Like that's just like what the Cowboys did year two on Michael Parsons was trying to drop him into coverage. I don't like it. These dudes are so great at getting at the passer. There's no reason to start dropping them. Same thing. Like, why would you drop Miles Garrett? Exactly, you wouldn't. But that's just another story for another day. Texas Tech defense was everything it was hyped up to be. Um, they are dogs. They are dogs. And it's a shame that we only get to see this one year because most of those guys are gone now. Actually, I think like 60 some% of them are gone. It's insane because most of them are seniors. So shout out to them on a phenomenal year. Um, I think this was the first time they ever won this many games. First time they won their conference. I think it was, bro. I mean, it was just so much stuff for them, and it was just it's kind of sad that you go out in a fashion that you went out where you don't even score in your last game. But they can hang their hat on their defense, and their defense was elite. Um, Another thing, and that's another thing as far as Texas Tech's offense is concerned. I mean, total that says they have two explosives on the day. They had one explosive on the day that was a run play, and I give that kid, well, I think it was Dickey that was running the ball. I give him all the credit because the offensive line got blown up something nasty. He had, I think it was Amari Washington on one side and Bryce Betcher coming in on the other side, and he hit a nasty move and then a nasty step back move and ended up getting around and going up the side of the field for about 50 yards. And that was it for the rest of the game. I mean, it was really nothing else after that. Uh, I saw a lot of people mad about the touchdown at the end of the game. Bro, come on now. Number one, if you're soft like that and you're getting upset about people scoring at the end of the game, you don't need to be watching football. That's just my opinion. You're soft. You're soft. We're talking about a game where people are getting smacked around and you're worried about people scoring. No, how about the defense's job to stop them? And I'm not saying nothing about Texas Tech. I'm talking about these idiots out there. Number one, Texas Tech was calling timeouts at the end of the game. Oregon was purposely running the ball. They were running the ball at the end of the game. If Texas Tech wanted to run out the clock, guess what they would have done? Not called a timeout. It's that simple. You call a timeout, it's fourth down, you got time left on the clock. What is Oregon supposed to do? Run around and then go drop it on the ground? No, they're going to punch it in, or at least try to run some more clock off the ball. But they're not going to ever, ever, ever just lay down to somebody else. No, they're going to keep moving forward. But that's just my personal opinion. Take that what you may. I don't care. Um, my last point about this game, or second to last, um, is I hope Dante Moore comes back because a game like this, yes, he played well, but I feel like he will have more opportunity to polish up his game and more opportunity to leave a bigger impact on college football. And now that's not to say that he can't with two more games left. After we beat Indiana, of course. But um, that's not to say he can't leave a bigger legacy. But everything he's gone through this year, as far as our team is concerned, and another thing too about this game, nobody's even paying attention to. The dude busted up his pinky on his throwing hand. Like their pinky is a big part of throwing good passes as far as spirals are concerned and guiding the ball. but nobody's talking about that. But like I said, no excuses. I'm just saying. But it's I feel like he's gone through so much with having to work with our third string receivers. I mean, don't forget, all three of our top three receivers were out at one point in time. Working with our third, and our tight end was out too. Third string receivers, um, having to go through. He had three monsoons that he had to play in. I mean, it was just a lot. So, and then also one of our receivers is a freshman. Well, actually, we have two receivers that are freshmen. So, it's just it was a lot. I think this first year, and he showed a lot for his first year, his first true full year of starting. So, kudos to him, but I still think he should come back to maximize his potential, in my personal opinion. Even if it doesn't work out next year, guess what? You got a year after that. He's a redshirt sophomore. More. Last point on this game. I don't want people to forget. Oregon is extremely young. I think were number two in the country in total touchdowns by freshmen this year. Um, I'm just gonna go down the line and name or count the position and freshmen at the position that are playing meaningful snaps. Right? Okay, so we got running back. Two true freshman running backs this year have carried the ball for a significant amount of time. Jordan Davison, who I think has 17 or 18 rushing touchdowns this year, or maybe total touchdowns, one of the two. Tons of touchdowns. De'Aaron Hill, who's a dominant, or who's a dominant speed back, who can have flashes, and who's also taken over parts of the games that we've needed him to take over. Those two are playing very, very meaningful snaps. DeCorian Moore and Jeremiah McClellan, they're two freshmen that are playing significant snaps at the receiver position. I mean, it's insane what those two have been able to do this year. DeCorian obviously got injured and missed pretty much half the season, but Jeremiah McClellan ended up stepping up and almost made like three of the craziest catches you've seen all year and nobody's talking about. Um, and that's the offensive side. So what is that? Four freshmen on the offense that are playing crazy meaningful snaps. As far as the defense is concerned, we've got a freshman at corner, two freshmen at corner, a freshman at safety. Um, I'm trying to think. Are there any freshmen? No, that's it. Two freshmen at corner and a freshman at safety. So three more freshmen on the defense. Four freshmen on the offense, three more on the defense. Seven positions out of 22 are all freshmen. Um, Come on, you cannot tell me that's not insane to think about as far as meaningful snaps played. Well, actually, on the defense, those are all starting snaps played by them. And I believe that we would have had another freshman playing had he not broke his leg and Trey McNutt. That kid's insane too. We had another freshman that was ready to go, but there's not enough positions. Dorian Brew. I'm just saying, keep a watch out for Oregon next year as far as the experience goes, because this is going to be something that I am most excited to see. Um, with all these true freshmen playing and get great snaps. And like I said, this is meaningful times. This is experiences 90% of freshmen in college don't get to experience of going to the playoffs as a freshman. You'll be able to carry this throughout the rest of your career. So that's it for the recap. We'll take a couple of looks ahead. Just quick thoughts on the games for next week. We'll start with the Ole Miss Miami game. I do think that I think Miami wins that game, and strictly because of Miami's defensive line. Literally nothing to do with Miami's offense, because I think they're going to score. Ole Miss doesn't have a dominant defense to completely shut people out from scoring. It just is what it is. They can make stops. I'm not saying that. They can make stops whenever they decide to. They decided to a few times versus Georgia. They can make stops without a question. Um, my most excited thing to watch in that game is Miami's defensive line versus Trinidad Chambliss and Kawhi and Lacey. I would love to see how they take part in that. Miami also has a young corner playing in that game as well. It's going to be a very interesting thing to watch. As far as Ole Miss's defense and Miami's offense, I just think it's going to be a hot knife through butter at times, and then Miami's own inability to get out of their own way, like usual with Mario Cristobal. It just is what it is with him. Uh, and I wouldn't like us. And just to be clear, my pick is Miami, but I would not be surprised if Ole Miss end up winning that game. If Ole Miss end up winning that game, bro, nothing about that will surprise me. It just is what it is. Um, as far as the Oregon Indiana game, I truly believe Oregon's going to win this game, and I think they're going to pull it out by right around 10 points. I hate making predictions. I really do hate making predictions on score of the game, but I've been right so far, and I've got such a feeling about this that I can get clown for, and I will. Like I said, if you tell me what you think, and I'm wrong, and you want me to put on something on this helmet that can it be extremely embarrassing to me, nothing profanity, something crazy. I'll put it on there if I'm wrong by any one of these picks. But I'm telling you right now, I believe Oregon will win this game. Um, as far as the travel goes, it's a slight advantage to Indiana just because they don't have to travel nearly as far as Oregon. But I don't think it's a super advantage either way because like it's a far travel for both teams. Um, Also, Oregon's undefeated on the road this year. I and I think that's extremely insane. They're completely undefeated on the road, and they've had some quite large travels this year. Um, Traveling across the U.S. twice, and halfway across twice. So yeah, they they've had a lot of travel. Like again, I keep going back to this young team, and also Indiana's an older team too, and I think that's what really gives them their edge. They know how to play the game of football, and they learned how to win last year, and now they're applying all the things that Kirk is teaching them. And boy, is he a hell of a darn coach with a hell of attitude to win the game, which I respect the hell out of, you know. So I love the no mercy coaches. I just love them. Okay, so I think that's pretty much it that I can think of. I'm gonna finish watching the rest of these bowl games today. I'm not gonna make any videos on them today. Yeah, I've y'all have heard me talk a lot, probably too much, and y'all probably tired of hearing me. So, anyways, I appreciate y'all for watching. Like, comment, subscribe if you want to. If not, it's all good. I still appreciate you anyway. I'll let you on the next one.